I couldn't help but acknowledge this funny little band right here below me, the Omni Knight. I feel like that is some scrim intel or something that we do not know about that maybe Undying has pulled out. Oh man, I'm telling you, I'm really loving how much Invoker we're getting to see here in season 2. Invoker's just suddenly become this like early drafting pickup for mid laners to kind of pop off on, and it must be the 4th or 5th time we've seen it here in the upper division now.
Yes, if I've heard from people that this. I'm not a big Invoker player myself, so I have no idea. You know, these guys they spam it, so they know their stuff. But I've heard that the changes to his stats, where now as you level up like the Quas and Wex, I think you get stats again. Apparently, this was just like a strict buff. Like you get more damage. Most importantly, you get more HP. You have a little bit less HP regen, but you get more HP. It's not like Invoker really was like, oh, I have so much HP regen. That was never that big of a deal. So it was okay in certain lanes, but being just like 3,000 HP at level 20 is fairly significant now. And then of course you have the Aghanim Shard meatballs and the old Aghanim Shard. As much as
Oh yeah,
people were saying how
meatballs.
sick it was not so good. I never saw anybody actually pick it up, and when I did, they would just screw it up. The ice wall thing, that was questionable.
How is Centaur still there,
Yeah,
gentlemen?
totally ignored. I mean, Timber, a right pickup, but like maybe just because the Timber's over there. Is that enough to warrant? I don't want Centaur because he's a big, meaty horseman that can get cut up from the scary Timber guy. I mean, is the disengage really necessary now? There's no puck threat. I mean, puck would have been great against Centaur, but do they need that kind of intense disengage?
I don't
I don't
think
know.
so. I maybe, I mean, I feel like I'm going to say this. They're just going to pick Centaur anyway, but I feel like Centaur is
Right.
like the sort of hero. It's like Phoenix, Warlock, Centaur completely destroys these sorts of heroes. But obviously, Black and Yellow already have the Timber, and then for Undying, it's like there's nothing really for them to disengage from, and I don't think the new stun AoE is enough to justify the hero. I think what makes the hero strong is the buffs that he got, on top of the fact that he's like the single best AoE disengage in the game against these warlocks and phoenixes and heroes like that. So I doubt we're going to see it. This is a really good Clockwork pick, by the way. It just completely dumpsters all three of these heroes on the Undying squad. Like, I don't know what you do as a Luna Invoker or Warlock when you get hooked. An Invoker like doesn't want to get a Force Staff. That feels really bad to get on him. He probably will get one anyway, but it feels bad.
Yeah, I would agree. Makes me more curious at what potentially we could be seeing for the Moon Meander pick here, because it have to be something that maybe could help assist and bail out and save one of these cores who get caught out in trouble from an initiator on the black and yellow side, or if it's going to be someone who does their own disrupting, if you will. Tusk had been something that Moon pulled out in the past. I don't know if Snowball is going to be a worthy enough save to kind of handle that kind of pressure,
We need
or if they.
a stun. Okay.
Oh, Pango.
Pango, I see.
Okay. Saberlight,
Clockwork's
offlane
kind of
Pango.
annoying for Pango too. I won't lie. It's not like one of these pseudo hard counters that we see, but he's definitely quite annoying.
Yeah, they passed on the Mars as well. Maybe again it goes with the same vein as Centaur, where they're big meaty offlaners, and Timbersaw is very scary. But Centaur Warlock is also such a juicy combo that they're passing on for this. So
It's also a semi-flex. It could be a 3, it could be a 4. I think more commonly we see it as 4 lately, but I'm sure that Black and Yellow are going to continue to ban some offlane heroes.
Legion would have been really good, I think. They need some setup real bad right now. Even over the Pango, like something to set up the Cataclysm, Luna ult, Warlock ult. Like, this team does not lack damage whatsoever. It's or magic damage or right click damage. Like, they have all of this. It is purely they just need to actually disable people while all of these abilities are going off.
Yeah, and the lockdown for Storm is, I mean, they have stuns, but it's harder to execute for Undying in terms of like layering it properly, because you got Rolling Boulder. Obviously, Warlock ult doesn't stun for that long. Lunas are just mini stuns. You got Cold Snap and whatnot, but there's no like Underlord route for like a Storm Spirit type here, and you don't want to pick Underlord against like a Timbersaw usually.
What about? I feel like Shadow Shaman would be really good to solve like the lack of disable. It's just Shadow Shaman against Clockwork is another one of those really terrible feeling matchups where like he hooks you and you just pathetically press your spells and then die.
Rubik had been a number 4 that was good against Clockwork back in the day, being able to lift and throw him out of the cogs and such like that. But is there a good amount of stuff to steal. Does that even matter?
I think that's a
in
good
general haven't
pick.
seen Rubik a lot, but yeah.
It's you steal the lion spells. I think all of those spells are really good, minus the mana drain. You can steal the hex versus the storm. You can steal the timber spells and do pure damage to him. I actually think this is like a S tier Rubik game.
It's Marana.
Okay, they go with Marana. I see.
Yeah, there's no like still it doesn't add what you were asking for before, and that kind of like catch lock down. You're banking it all on kind of an arrow. There's no serious setup for the arrow, maybe some tornado stuff, but yeah, I don't know. It feels like it's kind of going to be a Hail Mary type of Marana situation. While on the other side, we're looking at the potential Envy hero. You know, I see a lot of cores banned. I see stuff like Life Stealer still out there, and you got your Locomotive and your Clock and your Storm and your Timber. Maybe you just ride on the coattails of all these guys and get in there and mix it up. But
Yeah,
you know, Envy's also played
there's
Wraith
no
King.
strength heroes, sadly, but Life Stealer's still fine.
I don't
I don't know if Wraith King is still in consideration. Somebody that can survive these team fights. EMP is pretty annoying. They're going to take it anyway.
Yeah, he does.
I mean,
anyway,
you get shard at some point. Maybe you don't care that much about the EMP.
Okay.
Wow.
Envy's been on a serious Wraith King binge. I mean, when I see him on stream, he plays it all the time too. I thought it was funny they banned the Drow because he had also mentioned he's banned from playing Drow. I don't know how serious that is or not, but it was just funny nonetheless. The draft is done though, gentlemen. I need real quick thoughts on this. I'll start in the middle with Jenkins this time.
I'll go Undying. I think they have the overwhelming team fight, and I don't see what Black and Yellow has to deal with that.
All right, and Sunsfan.
Yeah, Black and Yellow have to play around the ult cooldowns from Undying. I think Undying's lineup's a little bit harder to execute, but at the same time, aside from like just Warlock ulting in terms of like their stun lock, but they're a better team. So Undying
all the way from this side. Let's get into a break. When we come back, we've got Lyrical and PPD with Pop-Tart on the Obs. We'll see you then.
Welcome back, Dota fans. We are here with game number 1. Undying facing off against Black and Yellow. And Peter, the Warlock, he is still this like terrifying presence that everybody's talking about. He's still really hard to deal with. Do you think Black and Yellow have drafted themselves something that can work against it? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm chilling, just chilling. Ready to watch?
Yeah, Warlock, popular hero. I don't think it's as good as I don't think it's that great of a first pick. I feel like Warlock is a bit of a one-dimensional hero, but he does have great like mid to late game team fight. However, if you don't have like an active laning phase, sometimes you know that you don't get Warlock Rock until you might not get it at 10 minutes, right? If you don't get the tome. And he's pretty easy to like play around because he's such a terrible roamer. So if if you're playing in the off lane, you're playing against Warlock, if you can maybe just like wave pull or maybe even try lane your safe lane or gank mid all the time, like Warlock doesn't really have answers for that. And it's oftentimes really hard for him to punish offlaners, like Timbersaw, for example. They immediately grabbed the Luna as a response to the Timber in lane, and they put it as a carry. So I guess Undying feels confident that Luna is enough to force out Timber. And based off my current Dota knowledge, I don't really think that's true. But maybe we'll learn something today. I mean, I'm definitely down to see how it goes.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot that, could be said about that. Timber's been making the rounds. Timber's been this hero that, I mean, speaking of kind of a one-dimensional hero, it's the same type of thing, but that one dimension is really good what he does, which is
Timber is really
safe plays out of there.
Timber's super meta right now, and I would describe like a meta offlaner as a hero that likes to buy Hood of Defiance or Vanguard as their first item, because these items are just so valuable and incredibly cheap. And both of these items give you health regen, which sort of allows you to push the carry to either buy health regen themselves via like a Ring of Health, or forces them to pick a Warlock who can just constantly heal you. And you're kind of like scaling, but at the same time, like the carry might have to go back for an extra salve or two or something like that, which Timbersaw and these other Hood of Defiance or Vanguard heroes don't have to.
Yeah, that's
so eventually they get ahead, and then they force the carry off the lane either via like a level advantage or like rotation from their mid player.
Well, and that is one other nice thing about Luna, obviously, is we do have this pause that we're waiting for players to get back and ready to go. But the nice thing about Luna, at the very least, is that if you do get forced out of lane, it's not like your game is over at that point. Like, you can go to the jungle, you can catch up, but I hear what you're saying. It's not necessarily what you want. If you could like shut down that Timber, that's what really feels good.
That's one of the reasons why Timbersaw is so OP. In the previous patch, I think everybody looked at Monkey King as a response to the Timbersaw, and if this was a latch patch, I think Undying would have taken Monkey King instead of Luna in that spot. However, patch has changed. Popular items have changed. I think Monkey King got a couple nerfs. Timbersaw got a couple buffs. And that matchup, people aren't really willing to play one position Monkey King at the moment. So it's been like, do you want to get a one position Monkey King to dominate the Timber lane, or do you want to pick like a real carry that is going to scale and win your team the game? And most people opt for that second option, which is why most of the time they ban Timbersaw. But they're letting it through here. We actually we lost to Black and Yellow last season. We gave them Timbersaw in at least one of the games, and it's Zero's like best hero. Not that the hero's pretty OP, but he takes full advantage of it.
Right, he was playing this before it got OP and was good at it at that point as well. Best of luck. Look at the delayed best of luck. I always feel like there's some sort of weird mentality. You get yourself sort of in position, and then to me, I don't know if I take that as like sort of a a taunting type of thing, or just a like, let's be cordial together. You know what I mean? It's always interesting, the psychology of the Dota player.
It just depends how well you know the guys. I think most people are pretty well-spirited nowadays, especially. I think people realize how important it is to like be well-networked and have good relationships with other players on other teams, because you may need to be on their team at some point in your Dota career.
That's fair.
But yeah, I think a lot of pressure is on Team Undying here in this series. Envy is a bit of a wrench, right? Everybody looked at Black and Yellow as kind of a freebie team, but once they get Envy, he's not somebody who kind of coasts. He's going to push his team to win these games. And Undying, this is they're 3-0, right? But they it's kind of the same as last season. They haven't played a lot of those best teams yet. But if they slip up here versus Black and Yellow, it's going to be a bad note before their big games, I think.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that is so interesting to me, is the impact that momentum has. And I think just back to, I think it was the last series that we had on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to get my days right. But they had just played against Zoomers. They got this big win over them. And this was one of the reasons why my predictions I actually took Black and Yellow over them, because I looked at the schedule. I was like, I think they're going to beat Zoomers. Then there's that sort of like, leftover hangover of, what's going to happen at that point. Like, do you sort of come in? It's the exact same thing that happened, I think, last season with Quincy Crew losing their game against Undying after the big win against EG. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, if it affects them at all.
Yeah, I think we'll see how this series goes. Bryle is playing a bit of he's playing Invoker, right? He's more of that carry player. He's doing Quas Wex, which makes me think he wants to be more active, which is more like the mid player I think we all want Bryle to be. However, it kind of feels like, I don't know. I'm just not sure. I feel like they have this Pangolier and this Mirana, but they're going to be farming for a long time. They don't really have any real save for Invoker. I'm not sure how Bryle's going to fare in this mid game. Maybe depends on his runes, obviously. Something seems a little bit off. Something like this is very last patch of Team Undying, I feel, with this Mirana Pangolier offlane. Very team fight, very like team fight heavy. Like the Pangolier is the team fight, but he's a bad laner, right? And then the Mirana is no team fight, but she's a great laner. So that's sort of the trade-off. But like I was saying, I don't think Pangolier buys. I don't think he buys Hood. I don't think he buys Vanguard. So he's going to be buying like a bottle and try to. It's going to be more about execution for him.
Dude, Dubu here is just trying to make Zero's life hell. Breaks the salve as he heads on through the trees, trying to keep this wave off of his tower, but Dubu just staying right in his face. Oh, what an annoying hero to play against.
Yeah, where is his Lion? Lion just gave up on the top lane and went bottom. And now I think that was a really poor move to give up on this top lane so early. Like, you pick a Timbersaw and now he has the jungle. The whole point of this hero is, to get him into laning phase, get him as early Hood or Soul Ring, Vanguard, whatever he chooses to go and take over. But just giving up is I don't think that's an acceptable option.
Yeah, it's not great, is it? He comes on into lane with a couple stacks there, but each time he comes back in, it's just been a quick rebuff coming from Dubu, and Tomato's keeping the lane exactly where it needs to be. He's going to try and get a pull off here, maybe. Oh, they did actually mess up a little bit here, and this range creep is chasing Dubu around the map. Not sure exactly what's going on there with that one, but he'll head back eventually.
Yeah, unlucky. It happens. But he did steal the bounty rune from Storm Spirit, which is pretty big. Storm really needs one of these 4-minute water runes, or he may just have to walk back to base.
Yeah, and sometimes you would see like supports go and feed or whatever, so that way they can go and fill it. But if you're tri-laning, you don't really want to be feeding. So Esk just sort of chilling in the jungle now, going to have to walk all the way back home.
Yeah, lack of presence of Lion there. You know, if Lion was still top, he could secure that bounty rune for Storm. Like, they could even maybe kill that Warlock who is, you know, walking where he probably shouldn't be.
Well, another round of the pulls down bottom as they're able to force them off of it for the moment. And Envy going to get the wave back underneath his tower. So far, kind of a weird game, it feels like. Each of the lanes has its own identity.
Yeah, it's really good for Undying, and mostly just because of the makeup of the heroes. Like, even if Pangolier and Mirana die a couple times here, they're still going to be achieving things in the game. And Pangolier is, you know, a team fighter, whereas Timbersaw is a laner. So Timbersaw is being denied his laning phase, which I think is a problem. Luckily, Timbersaw, you know, he can recover. And if you do like the Kai Assange build with eventually getting that flamethrower Ag Shard, I think you kind of have good scaling, which is one of the reasons why this hero is so good right now, because he's, you know, good laning phase and scales with the right item build. But yeah, he's going to have a long road to recovery.
Well, we'll be watching for it. At least he's getting some of those levels, still behind Tomato, but as you said, not where you want to be on this hero's identity is good laning. Dubu makes a little bit of a rotation mid here, actually. Is going to Fatal Bond up Esk and then be forced back by the tower even. So Dubu, after securing top, has now been able to help influence mid a little bit as well. He's getting more done on this Warlock than I think we're anticipating. And again, probably comes back to that Lion you were talking about.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much he's actually doing to mid. I think he's just trying to find something to do because once this Timbersaw has 2 points reactive armor, he's pretty tough to deal with. They're going to give him a go here. Might be able to get him.
Body blocks. Chasing in, but Zero will be able to back away and does just retreat out. Dubu forcing him out of there and might lose a courier for it. It's okay, it happens.
No sadder feeling than your courier dying.
True. Zero forced to TP all the way back home after another round of the Shadow Word level 2 on it. And yeah, 2,000 gold lead. You weren't kidding. Yeah, black and yellow definitely struggling here. And looks like we might have First Blood. Going to be given over to Moon.
They're trying on mid, though.
Oh, okay, a chance. Rolling in there, catches onto Bryle. Jubei diving into this one, but it's not quite going to work out. Instead, they're going to get the turnaround. The heal coming in from Dubu keeps alive Bryle and managed to get the lift up and the deny of the haste rune. Oh god, what an annoying freaking hero to play against right now as Esk is going to get chased down, tries to get the zip away, still has the urn and the Shadow Word on him, but might be able to live. It looks like he's going to get away. So Yamsun made a movement in to rotate and help him. Wow.
Yeah, and that comes at the cost of Lion just sort of being in the wrong place, right? Like, if they want to make this play happen, they need damage, and they need to be all three together. And finally, they're three together. I think they're probably gonna be able to get this kill. Lion was, you know, down bottom, dying to Pangolier Mirana, which is just horrible, right? Because now the offlaner who's getting tri-laned is getting hero kills, so his game is recovering. But a much needed kill on Bryle mid. They needed something to go their way, and they finally got it.
Well, Zero here. Moon is making the movement in as well, and I think they're going to try and set up for a kill here onto Zero unless he's careful.
Yeah, they're pressuring this. They've got this catapult. This tower could very well go down.
Oh, arrows off the mark.
Arrowhead Lion.
What? That's a freebie. God, they have really good wards too over here in this triangle area. And Zero, they move back in, take him down with the rotation from Bryle. Everything working right now for Undying. They are really firing on cylinders.
It's really smart from them. They've got this mid lane that went great, and they've got this top lane that went great, and this bottom lane, which is struggling. They just kind of leave Pangolier alone bottom to struggle. And by playing top and mid, this is going to create a lot of space for Pangolier as they draw heroes away from his lane. So he should be able to like get some uncontested free CS, or maybe just 1v1 versus the Wraith King, which isn't too scary.
Yeah, it's not like Envy's going to do much against him at this point for sure.
More focused on farming.
Yeah, fair enough.
And that's one of my critiques or critiques of Black and Yellow's draft with this final pick Wraith King is that it's just a bit too slow in my opinion. I see Dire's draft playing with both Invoker and Luna, and I think that those are sort of like almost like double carries. They're playing for like that mid to late game. And I think that Wraith King also has like a really slow ramp up time. They could have maybe punished with a different hero.
Yeah, that's fair. And you know that has not happened at this point, and they just sort of have free reign all over the way with these heroes that, as you said, you know, maybe wouldn't have been able to do this against some other cores.
Yeah,
I was kind of wondering
just takes a while.
I was kind of wondering about like Jug or something as that last pick, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Where it's like, I guess they feel like they just want to put this whole game on Envy, and you know, maybe somewhere around this Radiance they can make something happen. We'll see if they get too far behind by that point.
I mean, Storm is a pretty good late game hero as well. So, and like I said, Timber, if you know itemized properly, does scale as well. So I don't necessarily hate their late game. I just think there may have been an opportunity for them to kind of push the tempo versus this, I would say, like late game lineup of Dire.
Okay.
Maybe we'll just get an epic, you know, late game versus late game Eternal Envy versus Undying, you know, kind of thing, which I'm sure the fans wouldn't complain about.
I wouldn't either. I'd like that. That sounds great. It's a 4,000 gold lead at 9.5 minutes. I don't know if we're gonna get there.
I switched with Ali last week for the Envy game, and the first game went to 70 minutes. Maybe we'll have that today. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I'd be down for like a nice, good, you know, 45-minute game. It seems reasonable.
That's fair enough.
Get to like 60-minute territory. It's like,
What's even happening anymore?
random arrow.
Catches mid leap, and now the Hex afterwards. Esk still some mana. They get themselves another kill here. Nicely played by Black and Yellow, and that also keeps Zero alive. They're trying to rotate and kill him up top.
Yeah, two-man ganks are never good. That's a good thing to learn. Two-man smokes, never great unless you have like really good ults where you know you can secure kills. But they just run into Storm. Storm's jungling with Arcane Rune is like, oh yeah, free kills being delivered to my jungle. This is great.
Not bad at all. Bryle there picked up a regen rune and now is going to try and force back Esk. Looked for that arrow combo, but wasn't able to get it in time. And I guess the biggest thing there is just denying out a regen from Storm. I'm sure.
Jubei bottom is just delaying this push from Team Undying so much, all by himself, which is huge.
Really good.
They finally go down here.
Now the roll in, no TPs as of yet. Cogs. I did not realize that worked like that, which is great. Jubei, they even dropped the rock. Okay.
I felt like I saw him like moving around while TPing or something.
Yeah. That was
He was like
weird.
repositioning from the Pangolier. I don't know.
Yeah, that was bizarre looking. I'm not sure what exactly happened there, but regardless, they get the kill in the end with the Golem.
Yeah, two big ults though dropped. Pretty good exchange for Radiant there. They're losing in gold, but they did finally get the top tower, and they are, you know, Envy and Storm are continuing to free farm.
Yeah. Not bad. Even Timber's, you know, starting to get caught up. He's on even par with the Pango. It does just definitely feel like it's this Luna that's kind of getting a little bit out of control at this stage. And of course, Storm being a little bit behind as well. We'll see how it goes if they can maybe find some pickoffs, because that is something that I think the Black and Yellow squad does quite well. They have a lot of initiators on this team.
This Ag Shard from Luna is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
2 packs every time you use it. I think that's...
Jump. Damn, son. Turns around. They didn't finish off that kill yet. And the Hex is there afterwards. Esk now in a bit of trouble, but has the haste rune. No way to dispel that one, so he will back away. But showing off that Spirit Vessel. And now we'll just get a regen, or a fill up on his bottle, rather.
A pretty useful tool to kill the Timber Saw. It's actually going... He's got a BKB queued up, which I find hard to believe. And maybe a kill here from Esk? No.
Saberlight? Just going to go for the rollout. He held that one for a while. Does need to back away, though, afterwards. Dubu gets the kill onto Jubei, and they manage to escape for the moment. But back towards mid is where all the action's going. They're pressuring in the tower.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Radiant just feels really pressured. I mean, I'm sure they do. Their mid tower's getting smacked right now, but they need to do a better job of playing together. There's a lot of like individual plays being made by players, and they're oftentimes just lacking that little bit of damage, which they could use from, you know, one additional support.
Uh-oh. Are they going to try and set up on Envy here? And you look at the other side, and it's Undying that are definitely playing together, and now they caught Envy. Does have stick charges. Wasn't quite enough mana to pop the ulti if they fully committed on that.
Yeah, it's a tough kill. Their lineup is actually kind of tough to go on people, but they do have a lot of counter initiation with the Warlock Rock and the Pango roll. But in regards of just like jumping their opponents, it can be a little tough. And they found Tomato in the back.
Huge kill. The finger of death and the hook shot.
Double
Black
ults
and
from the
yellow.
supports.
Wow. Doesn't have a TP on Jubei, but he's just going to sort of walk out of there. Dubu catches sight of him. I mean, this is some pretty good space created as well while Timber's pressuring mid.
These are the moments you dream of as support. It's like, when can you find an opportunity to smoke 2 or 3 heroes and kill the enemy carry? And
Yeah.
they actually found like the perfect path. They had this deep ward on the Dire Ancients that showed them, hey, this Luna's actually pretty alone. And with the burst of Lion, they were able to sort of just like suicide gank this Luna. Clock does eventually die, but well worth it.
And I mean, the gold lead is still increasing. You can see 5,000 right now for Undying. But at least there's a couple signs of life here and there. They're starting to get into a couple of those bigger items. I am worried that, when the Tomato eventual BKB comes out, sort of what's going to be the response for that, because I'm not seeing much on black and yellow yet.
It's really just you're going to have to kite if he does go BKB.
That's fair.
He doesn't have it queued up yet. He's going Manta, which I think is great. He can just continue to scale up and buy farming items to further advance their lead. Doesn't necessarily have to risk it all by, wanting to take fights. I think they do have a good late game lineup.
Zero here. He saw them walk up the hill with that sentry ward, but wasn't able to get out in time. So a quick and easy blow up there of the Timber Saw, who he's rushing straight BKB.
Yeah, this is sort of the problem with Wraith King is that at this point, like black and yellow cannot 5v5 Dire because Wraith King has nothing, and he's gonna need this Radiance.
Oh,
Rock dropped up.
Golem. That stops the gank, and Yamsun just gonna try and run away from this one as they'll chase him down. But Storm at the very least will get out of there.
Yeah, Radiant playing their side lanes, which is good, but they're kind of tanking some deaths.
Another one there as Jubei goes down as well, filling up that Spirit Vessel.
So
yeah,
it's
tough.
They're waiting on Radiance. Once they get the Radiance, I feel like they're going to be very pressured to try and take a fight. Unfortunately, I feel like Wraith King is the kind of hero that wants to farm his Radiance. He wants to get his level 12 ultimate, and then he usually wants like a Blink Dagger or part of his BKB or something, or maybe even his entire BKB before he goes and fights.
I hear you. It's rather tough. Up top, though, trying to buy some space here. Esk gonna get caught. Oh, the creep saw him, but the heroes didn't. And Esk gets out.
They found a clock, though.
Yeah, Jubei, he'll go down yet again. Jeez.
Radiance bleeding. Big time.
He's trying to get there. It is very close, but I hear what you're saying about like needing that one extra item. Like he's probably gonna need to shard this game too with the mana drain that they've got. I guess
would be helpful. However, it seems like a luxury.
Yeah.
Maybe just plays around it. Buys a magic wand, something like that.
Fair enough.
Here's a mango.
Well, we will see. Storm Orchid completed. So there's a couple things that are nice timings here. I want to see what Envy wants to do. Does he want to fight with Radiance? No, doesn't look like it.
Well, it probably wants the level 12. They could just give up Roche. Yeah, Dire's going to start it. I'm not sure if Radiant may try to fight this. They have Clockwork, who's pretty great around the pit. But their team fight is pretty lacking. They don't really have anything for team fight.
Right.
So Pangolier roll and Rock is on cooldown. But it looks like they're just going to give it up.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, not ideal. But first Roche really isn't that big of a deal unless Dire's going to go win the game with it. So if Dire goes and breaks high ground, takes a set of racks, maybe 2 sets of racks, that'll be tough to deal with. But besides that, it's just, it's not like Radiant was taking fights anyways, What's Aegis really going to do for Dire?
Tornado lift up dead. That's true. Yeah, just keep on. Well, the pushback on Jubei. To be honest, that high ground look is not actually sounding that bad.
This is worse. This is worst case scenario. The enemy team takes Roshan, and you're still hanging around mid lane as 5 heroes. You're basically asking to take a losing fight.
I don't know about this one. And now Envy's gonna walk into lane. This guy's crazy. Absolutely, dude. That was one creep. Oh no, Envy's got to run away from this one. The disarm, the chase down. and burning him out.
Oh,
Envy got
perfect EMP.
one range creep, and
This game is looking done.
oh god. I was gonna ask you what you thought about like this solar crest on Brio, because it feels like very now focused, but now feels like the time to win. So maybe it's really good.
I really think that because Radiant has no team fight in their draft, I feel like they Dire's going to be able to push high ground with their Aegis if they want to.
Yeah.
They may just wait. You know, I really think Dota is like won and lost around the second Roshan, but if you're up this much, you know, maybe you can just end it. You know, maybe you got somewhere to be later. You know what I mean?
S goes down, just picked up by a Yule Scepter and brought down by the combo. And devastating game number 1 for Black and Yellow right now. I mean, I don't know. I guess the other way to think about it is that it didn't feel like they got to play their game. So maybe they're just like, all right, well, next time we'll just play our game. But it's feeling like we need to think about next time.
Yeah, I think Orange sort of Yamson just sort of ruined everything for Radiant, like by TPing bottom and not getting kills. Like you got to be really confident if you're going to try line from the start that you're going to, you know, it's going to be good for you. But his, you know, decision to go bottom was a disaster, and it kind of worked against them.
Well, they do have a Blink Dagger now. Zero has his BKB completed. We've got Radiance completed as well, like we talked about. Going for that shard on Envy, feeling like he needs it to be able to play Dota this game. We'll see if they can mount some type of defense. Like, to be fair, this is probably the best it could be. And actually, they find a quick pick on the Moon. Okay.
Yeah. This is where you can find opportunities to get back into the game, is if the enemy team, you know, they push more than they should, right? And I don't know if that's the case here. I mean, this it seems hard to believe that Luna can die twice here, but I've seen crazier things in Dota.
Okay. Envy picks up his shard. They're going to head on in. Jubei, oh my god, he's dying to the splash damage from the towers. No buyback. 30 seconds on the sideline.
And his courier died.
The wraparound coming. Esk is there, ready to jump. But they won't go for it.
It's, you know, is he going to solo kill somebody? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what he can do. Like, they're going to drop rock. Pengalier's going to start rolling. He's going to get cold snapped and spirit vesseled.
I mean, this is before the BKB gets here. You've got a haste rune on Storm. Like, all of the things are sort of coming together, but it's just they might be too far down right now. 14,000 gold, and as you said, that Age is still in hand. Has his BKB now on the Luna. I don't know what you try and do here. This is so tough. They jump in. They find the Invoker at the start, but the Golem comes out immediately afterwards, and Saberlight is there for the turn. Envy doing some good damage. They bring him down once. Can they do anything else to the rest of these dire heroes? Zero, BKB out. Tries to walk away from Moon under the cover of the Moonlight Shadow. Envy, oh no, he's in no man's land. Dude, Warlock, Upheaval keeps him in place. And Undying, I don't know if they're going to be leaving this time, as the big zip in comes out, but there's not much more they can do. This is devastating.
Seems like Team Undying,
GG.
you know, they first picked this Warlock, right? It kind of gives them that mid-game team fight, but none of their opponents are capable of even handling their laning stage. So when the game goes to mid-game, you know, they've lost 2 or 3 lanes, and now Team Undying still has superior team fight. So there's just no comeback opportunity for Radiant. They picked a draft that was sort of all in laning phase, and they lost their lanes. What can they do?
Yeah, that's a good point. You focus so much on trying to secure that one laning phase, and then it kind of falls apart. You're not going to be able to play Dota from there. And I guess to you, what really stood out was a couple of the decisions within the laning phase. It wasn't like, I mean, we can talk about the draft or not the draft, but it felt like that was a bigger thing for you than the draft itself.
Yeah, I think their draft could have worked. But the decision to try and trial in the safe lane and totally leave Timbersaw on an island, I don't think is how you want your Timbersaw to play. You want your Timbersaw to win his lane, and that's kind of what he's good at this patch. So I think they should just rethink a way to give him, just don't leave him alone. Give him a game.
All right. Well, ladies and gents, that was a rather quick game number 1. A stomp if we ever see one. I heard we're gonna hear some shellacking talking as well. But we
Definitely some shellacking happening here.
When we get back, Pale's gonna break it all down, and we'll see you guys on the other side in just a few.